If there's any gaming franchise known for fierce debates between its fan base, it's the Super Smash Bros. Series. Every new game has constant debates on who should get added or who shouldn't have got added. And these debates can get quite toxic. I mean, say you want Bandana D in the game and you're gonna get shot 5 times. So that seems like Smash Ultimate would be a perfect choice for a hot takes video. I mean, surely I've got some crazy controversial takes about this game. To be honest though, I was kind of struggling to come up with some here. I feel like Smash Ultimate is such a solid package that I and most people pretty much like everything. And the stuff that people generally don't like, I kind of agree with. I think Fire Emblem is overrepresented. I think Zelda should get more and better characters, but those are nitpicks, not hot takes. So I've got a bit of a shorter list for myself this video. Luckily though, I don't just have to rely on myself. The first half of this video will be my hot takes, and the second half will be taken from you insane people on the community tab. As always, I'm not picking the ones I necessarily agree with, just the ones I found to be the most interesting to talk about. Oh, and also I just want to say, this can be about anything, not just characters. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. Alright, I want to start with what's probably my biggest hot take of this video, since it's the first one that came to mind when I thought of this video idea. I like spirits better than trophies. Okay, that was a bit of clickbait phrasing. I think overall the spirit system is better than the trophy system in previous games. If you didn't know, to represent characters and things outside of their roster in previous Smash titles, they created trophies. These all look really cool, and they're each individually modeled with hundreds of these per game. So why would I think spirits are better? I mean, they're all just PNGs they probably downloaded from Google Images. Well, it all comes down to how you have to unlock them. For trophies, you more often than not just get them randomly as you play. There are a few that have special challenges, but for the most part, you just play a side mode and hope you get a new trophy. The spirits though, in my opinion, are far more interesting. To get a majority of the game's spirits, you have to complete a fight based on the character in the spirit. That is such a great concept, and these fights have a wide range of different effects to resemble the characters they're trying to represent. There are hundreds of these fights, and I enjoy them so much that I even have a series on my channel all about making my own custom spirit battles. So if I were to choose between the trophy system or the spirit system for the next game, I'd personally choose spirits. Now ultimately, I think a combo of the two would be best. Model all the spirits into trophies and keep the spirit battles. At the very least, I think spirits should 100% have descriptions like trophies. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. Sticking with the similar spirit idea here, I'm actually a fairly big fan of World of Light. This acts as Smash Ultimate's adventure mode, essentially putting a lot of the game's spirit battles on a pretty big world map. Now when the game first came out, I think people were generally okay with it, but as Ultimate got older, more and more people started to say that World of Light was kinda garbage. Now I do fully understand why people say that. There's not really much story here, and that opening cutscene had so much promise with a ton of voice acting and character interactions. Little did we know, that was basically the game's only cutscene, beside the one where Mario dies. People have been wanting a proper adventure mode with a ton of cutscenes and character interactions for years, and it was disappointing to see that World of Light wasn't that. To be clear, I would prefer a story mode like that too, but I still think what we got is a fairly solid mode. I had a great time exploring the massive map to find all of its spirit battles. The mode is also fairly long, but not too long where it starts to drag on. Personally, I think the hatred for this is a little over-exaggerated. I get wanting cutscenes, but I don't think World of Light is a bad adventure mode by any stretch. Okay, but seriously, Sakurai, stop crying about cutscenes being on YouTube. Alright, but moving away from spirits, let's talk about a few character hot takes. Obviously, with characters being the main focus of the Smash series, they're what I have the most hot takes on. First, I want to start off with my boy Super Mario. Love that guy. Now, I'm not really sure how much of a hot take this actually is, but I've seen enough people say this, so what the heck, I might as well bring it up. I've seen quite a few take issue with Mario's moveset because he doesn't use a lot of power-ups in it. It's pretty much just the Fire Flower and Cape Feather represented, plus Flood if you count that as a power-up. That leads a lot of people to say that Mario's moveset feels completely uninspired and that his moves should really reference stuff from his games. Now, Mario is far from the only character people say this about. Kirby, for example, also gets this criticism for not using many of his copy abilities. However, I completely disagree with this idea. Sure, you may think it's cool to reference all sorts of power-ups from their games, but I think this sort of takes away from the character feeling like themselves in Smash. I think the way Mario is designed right now is pretty perfect for him. He's already got a pretty solid amount of references in his moveset, and in Smash, Mario is all about aerial combos and using platforms. I can't think of a better way to represent the face of platformers than that. So even if sure, not every move Mario has comes directly from the games, they all feel like something he would do, and they come together to create a character that feels exactly how Mario would fight. I think if he tried to make his moveset a mix of different power-ups, he would lose the synergy he currently has between all of his moves. All of what I just said applies to Kirby as well, by the way. Now, I don't want to say Mario's moveset is absolutely perfect. I'd still love to see the T-Rex capture from Odyssey as his final Smash, but I do not think he needs an overhaul pretty much at all. Now for this video, I generally wanted to avoid any takes revolving around the competitive side of the game. I like to think that I'm decent, but I don't really have time to go to tournaments, so my opinions wouldn't really hold that much weight.
And also competitive Smash players are insane.
Anyway, I did have one take I wanted to give since it's more about spectating. I think Steve and Kazuya are pretty fun characters to watch. I have very often seen people call these two the lamest characters in the game to watch, and I genuinely don't know how. Now for Steve, it may purely be bias, seeing as I am a Steve main, and Minecraft is one of my favorite games ever made. but he has so many setups and wacky moves that I don't see how people could find him boring. At the very least, I don't see how they can find him to be the most boring. I think most people don't like watching Steve and Kazuya because they're able to easily zero to death, but I think that's kind of part of the fun of it. It means even when they're down, there's always a chance for them to come back, so it keeps any game that they're in very intense. I mean, even if you're rooting against them and enjoying the game, I don't think that can be called boring. At the very least, I don't see how you could find them to be more boring than a character like Sonic, whose whole gameplay centers around slowly draining their opponents until the time limit expires. And also to this day, I am yet to see a Min Min clip I think is cool. So yeah, I think Steve and Kazuya are fun characters to watch because at the very least, they're pretty explosive. Oh, and also neither of them should be banned. Anyone who wants them gone are crybabies that just need to try harder. But for my final hot take before we move into the comments, I think I've got to give at least one based around a character inclusion. Gino does not need to be in this game. He's always been one of the most requested characters for Smash, and I genuinely do not understand why. He's basically only ever shown up in Mario RPG, which sure, some people may enjoy, but I don't think that game is nearly big enough to need a spot on the roster. Mario has plenty of other characters that I think should be added before him, like Dry Bones for Smash. Personally, I think the Mii costume treatment is more than enough. I do think they could make the costume a bit better next game by having the hat just be his whole head, but I genuinely do not see the need for him to be added over basically any other popular request. It'd be cool if his saw got added to the game though, it does sound pretty nice. So with all of that being said, Sakurai, please add Freddy Fazbear into the game, it'd be so peak. But now it's time we take a look at what you crazy people said on the community tab. There were a lot of comments this time around, but to be honest, I felt like a lot of them weren't really hot takes and more so leaned towards being nitpicks. I did get what I thought was a pretty solid collection though, so let's just get started with the first comment from Dr. Rank, who says, Miis are genuinely the best character in the game because they can stand in for characters who are absent. In both Smash 4 and Ultimate, my main was a Mii sword fighter based on Crash Bandicoot. Now I would personally say that this is definitely less of a hot take nowadays, but there are still a lot of people out there who disagree. I think Sans was really the Mii costume to show the true potential of Miis, and ever since, people have been far more positive towards them. But I would still at least call this controversial because a lot of people are unsatisfied with the character just being a Mii costume. I think so long as the Mii costume is on the level of Sans, Cuphead, or Bomberman, then it's a far better alternative than not being playable at all. Speaking of character representation, Thomas Ree 5015 says, Master Koga should be the next Legend of Zelda rap. Honestly, I wouldn't mind this choice. He was a funny character in both Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. My personal first choice is still Skull Kid because I love Majora's Mask, but this is not a bad choice. I think Zelda just needs more reps in general, so I'd be happy with almost any major character. They're gonna add a fourth link. Alright, let's step away from the characters for a minute and get a take I disagree with in here. Christine Hartley 5532 says, I think the All-Star mode is okay. It's fun trying to defeat as many enemies as you can without dying. Yeah, that is certainly an interesting take. The All-Star mode in previous games was really fun. It'd be separated into several different fights with a spot to rest between the fights. You'd have to go through every single character in the roster to win, but you only get a limited amount of heals. That leads to this requiring a lot of strategy as you try and figure out which fights you should use your heals on. As far as I know, everyone loved this mode, and then they decided to ruin it. It is so bad in Ultimate that most people probably don't even know that it came back. Now it is classified under the multi-man mode, so basically now it's just one fight with every single character and no heals. This is so much less interesting and engaging than the original. Since it's a multi-man mode, the opponents also get sent flying super easily, so there's so much less to this mode now. And I think it's a shame that they messed up All-Star mode on the Smash title that it would have been the best on. Now hey, if you do like this, more power to you, but I'm gonna continue to be a grumpy hater. Continuing with things that changed from previous games, Checkaboy3695 says, just remembered one. It's fine that control final smashes from Smash 4, Wario, Sonic, Little Mac, Yoshi, etc. got removed in Smash Ultimate. Sucks some got extremely worse, but that's just the price of changing, sometimes it gets worse. I definitely do not agree with this one. I think the controllable final smashes are far more interesting than what they got replaced by in Ultimate, with the exception of Bowser's. His new one is pretty cool. In the comment, they say that it's the price of changing that some get worse, but my question is, why bother changing at all? Yeah, they said it's to help match pacing issues, but I really don't remember most people complaining about them before. Like I said, I'm fine with how a few changed, like Bowser, Pikachu, and Fox, but for a majority of these, I hope they go back to the controllable versions in the next game. Deciducip says, not my hot take, but someone on Reddit told me that Xenoblade was as poorly represented as Zelda and Sonic. Yeah, this is why you don't trust Reddit, what are they talking about? Alright, let's get a few DLC hot takes in here. Anonymous Fox 843 says, Byleth was a really good addition to the Smash roster actually. Their playstyle is distinct from other Fire Emblem characters and gives them a kinda King Dedede feel on a smaller hitbox, which I really like. Now, as I said earlier on in the video, I think Fire Emblem is super overrepresented on the roster. I remember I had an exam at the exact time as Byleth's reveal trailer, so I speed ran through it and was absolutely devastated when I saw Byleth on my screen. But with that being said, he's far from the worst Fire Emblem rep on the roster. I think everyone agrees by now that Corrin is far, far worse. At least Byleth comes from the best-selling game in the franchise and is fairly unique. week. Personally though, I still don't think he needed to be here. Smash doesn't have to represent every Fire Emblem protagonist, but if they really want to, then spirits, Mii costumes, and assist trophies are right there. I just hope they don't plan on adding another one into the next game. Storm Red says, I think my most genuine hot take is that I consider Min Min to be an actually cool and fun character. Man, I love spamming forward smash. Yeah, huge disagree, but good for you in finding some joy in her. Shady27 said, hey, wait a minute. That's
the author of the
comment.
My brother.
Yeah, we got a little brother cameo for this video. Let's see this horrendous take so we can all make fun of him. He says, I prefer the old Zelda design to the new Zelda design. Wow, I've never read a comment more wrong. Yeah, so he prefers her Brawl and Smash 4 design based on Twilight Princess instead of her design in Ultimate based on A Link to the Past. Yeah, sorry, I just can't agree. The old one to me just feels so much more bland. This new Zelda is far more upbeat and energetic, plus I just like the blonde hair better. Most importantly though, I like how this Zelda represents the 2D games. We actually haven't gotten that before with any of the Zelda reps in previous Smash titles, so I think designing one of them off a 2D appearance is perfect. I think Zelda was especially the best choice of a character for this, seeing as this very Zelda is getting her own game through Echoes of Wisdom in September. At least I'm pretty sure it's the same Zelda. So yeah, I think my brother is stupid and wrong, and we should all throw tomatoes at him. Though I think it would be cool if Smash would just include both as alternate costumes. They can even change the animations between them slightly like they do for the Byleth genders. JJ Large says, Animal Crossing shouldn't get any more characters. Yeah, I know it's popular and sells well, but there just isn't much more moveset potential. Pretty much everything is already covered by Villager and Isabelle, and a new character would probably just be a semi-clone or use already existing ideas. Sales isn't all that matters. Now, I'm not really sure if this is much of a hot take, but I thought it would be interesting to talk about anyway. Personally, I wouldn't mind if, say, Tom Nook got in as an Echo Fighter, but I also don't think there's a need for another Animal Crossing character. I feel like they did get a lot of the series' moveset potential in Villager and Isabelle. As JJ Large said, Animal Crossing is a massive franchise though, especially considering New Horizons basically cheated its way to being the Switch's second best-selling game. But I agree that sales aren't everything, and as of now, I think I'm satisfied with Animal Crossing's representation in Smash. Maybe throw in a New Horizons stage for the next game and it'd be perfect. Well, I thought it would be perfect, but Spring Dude 1165 says, not exactly a hot take, but it really bugs me how Animal Crossing doesn't have a legendary spirit. Yeah, not a hot take, but it's still worth fixing. I'd say they add the creepypasta to Brutus to scare all the kiddies. Latest Mustache says, I hate unlocking characters in Ultimate. As someone who just wants to play with friends, having only 8 characters available and slowly getting new fighters one at a time is really annoying, especially one of them is your main from past games and you aren't lucky enough to encounter them. This is definitely one of the more controversial aspects of Smash Ultimate. I've heard people be on both sides of the argument that everything should be unlocked from the start or that unlocking things is fun. So seeing as my opinion is the most important, which side do I fall on? Honestly, I think Smash Ultimate handled unlocking characters pretty perfectly. It doesn't take that long to get the full roster, and there are so many ways to go about it. You could just play Smash matches normally and they'll appear every couple games, or you could play World of Light or Classic mode if you're looking for a specific character. You could get everyone unlocked in an afternoon or two. I mean, I had them all pretty much day one. It was fun getting characters one by one to try them out, since it could be a bit overwhelming having so many to start with. Plus, I always just like unlocking things in games as long as they're reasonable. It's honestly probably faster to get everyone unlocked in Ultimate than Smash 4, Brawl, or Melee, since they had much more specific requirements per character. Like for Mewtwo, you have to leave your GameCube on for 20 hours, that sure is creative. But yeah, I think overall, unlocking characters in Ultimate was a fun time. High Voltage Virtual says, 75M isn't that bad. Yeah, it is. One of my friends, Soulcake Live, says, Sonic's alternate costumes are not that bad, especially when compared to 1/3 of the roster who has it way worse than him. Now, he is a big Sonic fan, so I can't say I'm too surprised by this, but I personally cannot agree. Granted, I don't think he's got the worst costumes, I think Pac-Man can comfortably take that crown, but I'll always feel like there's a lot of missed potential here. He's got a few good ones like the Black Ult, but I really wish we got more colors than just different shades of blue to represent a lot more of Sonic's iconic cast. I will say, at least, I don't think any of his costumes look bad. I mean, compare them to this monstrosity and I'll take Sonic any day. And for our final hot take of the video, John Capaldi 8574 says, I think they should just ditch the rule of only allowing characters if they started from a video game. There are so many possible fighters we could have if they simply got rid of that rule. This is definitely a hot take, but one I've heard a few people share. Personally though, I do not agree. Smash Bros is meant to be a video game celebration, and I think allowing literally anyone into it would lose that aspect. I mean, as soon as you open the door for literally anyone, the discussion for characters is going to stray away from video games because there are so many big media characters they could add instead. To be honest, I think leaving that for games like Fortnite where characters are just skins is better. The most I would ever go is maybe a Lego character, since the Lego video games are great, really popular, and have been for years, but no one else beside that. I think it's important that Smash stays purely as a video game Hall of Fame. Okay, wait, Batman would be awesome. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you think Melee Zelda design is the best one and hate me and my brother? Let me know in the comments. I'm really happy with the collection of hot takes we had for this video, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. But I've got more 200k Mario to edit, so dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.